I want to tell you a little bit about our subcontracting journey. Our opinion on not subcontracting roofs is not a popular one. A lot of people in the industry have come out and straight out attacked us. We knew that when we brought this up, that we decided to take this stand, that it was going to make a lot of enemies. We'd make enemies with the big company because they go out and sell 400 roofs on the expectation that someone else is going to start a business and allow them to actually do those roofs. We made enemies with subcontractors because they feel attacked. They feel that we're saying that they don't do good roofs. And then we also created a lot of disruption with our customers because we used to subcontract. And by telling people that it's a bad thing, for the few people that did get a subcontracted roof from us, it feels like we in some way scammed them. So we know that it's the right thing for the customer. And let's be clear, that's the only reason we exist in business, is to earn a profit by helping customers. The customer is the most important thing to us. The only thing that even comes close is our people, but our people have to be our people to be our people. Now, over the course of 6 years, since 2014, we never subcontracted. Joe worked for a company that sold all their jobs and did all their jobs in-house. So Joe Sargeant, he didn't know any other way to run a roofing company than to have in-house crews paid hourly. And so that was how we run our business. But over the course of those 6 years, we watched relatively big companies, guys we considered competitors, close down and then become another roofing company right away. Like, we knew that the same owner was that guy, now he's this guy, or that guy became partners with this guy, or these partners broke up and became that guy. And and nothing against them, but we saw that they had a roofing company that for whatever reason closed down, right? Bad reviews, money issues, whatever, right? And that's fine, that happens, right? Business is business. But then they opened and they were able to sell more roofs than us in the first year that they opened a roofing company than we were able to in 5 years. And it wasn't because we weren't able to sell the roofs. We have no problem selling roofs. The problem for us was getting them done. And we just never really felt that it made sense to sell a roof that we couldn't get done. Like, we thought that if you can do the roof, you can get the work. So you got to be sure that you can do the work. But after all that, when COVID hit, we kind of thought, you know what, we need to take a different strategy here. Let's try a different approach. If you can't beat them, join them. Let's do subcontracting. So over the winter, I went down to the United States and I spoke with some of the bigger subcontracting roofing companies in the country. And I asked them for their feedback, what it was like. And in the States, things are different. They have a ton of people that have moved in and immigrated into the US. And that means that they have a lot of labor down there that's misclassified and undocumented, but they have a really good understanding of how subcontracting works. I actually spoke with a guy who runs the Roofing Insights YouTube channel. It's like a big YouTube channel for the roofing industry, 40,000 subscribers. That guy knows everybody, and he owned a roofing company too that's subcontracted. So I asked him, I said, what does your subcontractor agreement look like? And he gave me a copy of it. We had it reviewed by a lawyer, and that was a subcontracting agreement that we used. So we went down and got as much education on it as we could to make sure that we were prepared to do something that we'd never done. We then brought in subcontracting roofers, guys that were, have no logos or very small logos on their trucks. And that's what they do. They subcontract. And so what we ended up doing is then saying, okay, well, how much do you want to get paid? And we had a different pay structure for every single subcontractor because we thought that if we wanted to expect the best work, we should ask them what they want to get paid, know what their cost was for their crew, and then only put them on jobs that we could afford to put them on. That was our thought. Like, make sure people are getting paid what they want, because they didn't like the idea of a rate sheet and being told what they were worth. So we did that. What ended up happening is we way overpaid certain people. Some people got underpaid and then didn't realize they were underpaid until they were out of money. And then what ended up going on is there was good relationships, bad relationships, some blossomed, some fell apart. But we realized that we also didn't know a lot about how subcontractors think about doing the job when they're their own boss. So over winter, we decided to learn our lessons. We felt, we didn't know what we were doing. We did everything we could to kind of get an education on it, spoke to some of the smartest people in it, and then we went and got some experience. So now let's try it again. So we tried it again in the first month of 2021, everything that we learned. We learned that you need a rate sheet because it's impossible to try and manage payroll and check invoices when everybody has a different pay structure. We changed things about what kind of work orders we gave out, how we handed out jobs, and how we qualified a subcontractor. When someone told us they had 6 guys on their crew, we knew we had to say like 6 guys today, or you've had 6 guys for like a year. Certain things that we learned to ask questions about over time, or things that we knew we had to kind of stick our feet in, actually call certain references and whatnot. And so we said, okay, let's go forth and do that. And again, it was still chaos. It didn't matter what we did because what we really learned was our visions aren't aligned. what happens is when I take my customer, let's say you decide to buy a roof from me. Now I then take your contract and let's say your roof's $10,000, right? Typically how it works is you have 30% of your job goes to materials, 30% of your job goes to labor, 30% of your job goes to running the company, the trucks, the phones, the internet, doing a video like this, running a Facebook page, having a website, and then 10% is what you hope to be left over with. Sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 9. It's very little, very seldom more, but that's kind of how a roofing job works. And so when we decided that we were gonna try it again, we kind of said, okay, we want to make sure that you're getting 30% of that contract because that's what we kind of budgeted for you. And so we would do that. But they get paid that set amount to do the job. They're not actually paid how long it might take to actually do the job. Let's say the job is undersold, salesman got it wrong. Well, then that money that they're being allocated isn't necessarily enough for them to successfully do the roof. So it creates this contentious kind of argument where they run up to a certain amount of spend and then they stop caring about the roof. The other problem that happens when we hire a subcontractor, some of the lessons that we learned was that, well, this person is living in a world where they're their own business. Now I'm their customer. You're my customer and they're my customer, I'm their customer because I'm buying from them just like you're buying from me. And so what happens is they decide when they work. So we tell them they have to show up at the site at 8 o'clock. We pay them a great wage. We do everything that they ask, but then they decide if they're going to show up at 8:30 or 9:30. We had a subcontractor one time who we paid him $4,500 and 2 days later, he said he didn't have enough money to dump the material out of the dump trailer that he had on the last job. And he just wasn't going to go to work that day. So that was just the way it was, right? We had subs that said they were capable of doing a certain amount of work. So they would say, yep, I can do 25 squares a day, 5 days a week. And you're like, great. And then you find out that they can do 16 squares a day, 5 days a week. And then they end up falling behind. So we tell customers we're coming Thursday, and then it's Friday, and then it's Saturday, and then we want to get Sunday off. So it's it's Monday. And the week stretches out. So then you're missing the deadlines that we've given our customers. Other examples that we had were that people would show you their WCB and it would say coverage for workers and personal coverage. But then after they give you that at the beginning of the season, they cancel worker coverage and they say they have no workers and now they're only paying for personal coverage. So now their costs go down. And then we don't have any control over how they were paying their people. So we started getting phone calls, these angry phone calls because guys weren't getting paid and they felt that they were working for Sargeant's Roofing. So they would call us and be like, yeah, so-and-so never paid me, or he said he was going to pay me this much. We've had people threaten my mother. I've had people scream and yell on the phone, swear at our staff, threaten our staff, all because our subcontractor didn't pay them. And so what that does, it creates stress in our office, right? Because now we're sitting here looking out at the world going, okay, we tried everything with this subcontracting thing. And our production manager, Charlie, is sitting there trying to have conversations with customers and say, yep, we're coming Tuesday. Sorry, something happened. We're coming Wednesday. Sorry, I know I said we were coming today, but we're actually going to come tomorrow. And then 9:30 the next day, what do you mean they're not there? And we would have to deal with this all the time. And so everybody in the company was complaining about it. Our sales guys, right? So the guys who do the inspections and then estimate your roof, and then they're the guys who ultimately sell you a roof if you become a customer. Well, they go and do a midday site inspection and they were finding things wrong or things not installed the way that we wanted them to be installed. Maybe it would just be little things, and then you try and critique those teams. You try and bring them into our Thursday morning meetings and they would mouth off to us in the meetings. They would talk back to us. They wouldn't be willing to learn. And again, this is all sources back to the fact that they have their own business. And so even if they say, there's 3 ways to do something and we want it done in way 1, if they like doing it in way 3, we have to fight them to do it. And they would argue with us about which way is better. And we would just say simply, that's the way that we want it done. That's the way we sold it to our customer. That's what they're expecting. So that's the way that we want it done. So when our inspectors weren't happy with seeing what our subs were installing, right? And this is, again, multiple subs. A lot of guys who listen to this video, if they're subcontractors, they'll say, oh, your subs are crap or you weren't paying enough. No, we were paying too much and we were hiring great guys. And these guys, as soon as we let them go, they believe me, they held back nothing in how great they were. So we paid for great people, guys who are working for many of the biggest companies in Edmonton. I drove to go pay them their check and they're wearing the shirts of some of the bigger companies in the city. And so we just decided as a team that it wasn't worth the trouble. It was more worth the trouble to do our own recruiting, because we wanted to make sure that our subs people were being paid on time, that they were happy at work because they were paid. We couldn't control that, so we can control when we pay our people. We wanted to make sure that when someone says they can get a certain amount done in a day, we know how much they're going to get done in a day, because we can teach them and grow them. And if they say there's going to be 6 guys there, we know if there's 6 guys there, and they can't pull 3 guys off and send them to another job and then leave us hanging. We wanted to make sure that if we said to a customer we were going to be there at 8 o'clock, that they were going to be there. We wanted total control over the experience. And it doesn't mean that subcontractor equals bad roofer, in-house roofer equals great roofer. We have in-house guys who are training and learning, and they have to correct their work. Then we have subcontractor crews who have amazing roofers, but they're 2 guys, and then they're 5 guys, and then they're 2 guys again. And then this guy's mad because he didn't get paid on time, and that guy's paid by the bundle, so he only shows up to install but doesn't show up to tear off the roof. And so, we don't have control over that. So subcontracting doesn't equal bad roof. Subcontracting can equal unpredictable experience. And unpredictable is not what our customers pay us for. Our customers pay us for predictable. And that's why we decided to move away from the subcontracting industry. And that's why we believe it's ultimately a sham.